been done 3 times ever, and all of them were before the year 2000. in the last time it was done was in 1998. And, that's just a different era, man. I mean, that's just, the PT doesn't look the same as it did back then. And if we're talking about the modern era of the Pro Tour in the way that it's, formatted and the number of players and the way that you get there and all that stuff, this is just unprecedented. Nobody's ever done it. So yeah, anyway, it was really exciting to watch, and congratulations for that, Louisa. It was a special PT, no doubt about it. And of course we'll see you at Worlds, right?
Yeah, I did qualify for Worlds in a couple weeks. So I get to play Standard, Modern, and more importantly, Shadows over Innistrad / Eldritch Moon Draft.
Yeah, so that'll be cool too. All right, so we've got a little bit of a grab bag show for you this week. We've got a few different mixed topics and ideas that we wanted to explore for this week's episode of the show. Before we get into all of that, of course, I want to remind you that the show is brought to you by ChannelFireball.com. They are the place to go for all of your Magic needs. That's right. You can show up and you can get better at Magic by checking out the free articles and videos that you'll get every single day at CFB. If you need cards, you can get them. Sealed product, you can get them in singles as well to fill out whatever your latest deck creation is. And you can even get supplies. You can get stuff like sleeves, deck boxes. You can get limited resources sleeves and deck boxes there. Heck, you can even get t-shirts. They got it all over there at CFB. And of course, if you need to sell cards back, which, as drafters, we find ourselves with those piles of rares that you're like, I don't know what I'm ever going to do with this. Well, don't wait till they rotate. Sell them back to Channel Fireball. And if you want to trade them in, they'll even give you a 30% bonus. And with that, of course, you can get more booster packs and draft more. So your one-stop shop, channelfireball.com. Please do check them out. You can also support the show directly via the Patreon. And, that's a website that you can go to help give back to the creators that make things that you enjoy, like this show, hopefully. And, you can check it out on there. You can set a monthly limit. You can pick how much you want per show. And you'll even get some sweet perks like the ability to submit questions for the Patreon question of the week and various giveaways as well. Now, this week, we're going to be doing sort of bonus Patreon questions of the week. We get so many of them, and we're working on a version or an episode of the show where we answer a bunch of them, but we thought, hey, let's answer multiples here. So we're going to go through 3 or 4 of them today, and then we'll do, actually, Luis, I'm going to spring one on you. We're going to do a couple of Crack-A-Packs. I got a special one here. And then we're going to talk a little bit about Eldritch Moon, and a little bit about Shadows as well, just to make sure that we stay up to date on all the happenings post Pro Tour. So let's get into the questions. First things first, Adam Hoffman says, what stops Marshall from being an elite player to the degree of LSV? Is it just a prioritization of time? If this question isn't the Yoko Ono of this podcast, I don't know what is. Thank you, Adam, for the question. And I actually really like this question as well. And this is something that I think about. Yeah, this is something that I think about a lot, which is somebody, and he's using me as an example, but I think that, you can generalize this even further to, a player who's put significant time into their game and has realized some improvements from that, right? Has really, in some ways become an expert in certain facets of the game, and in other facets not. But, has really sat down and tried, and for a long time as well. And why isn't that person an elite player, right? Why isn't that person at that Luis Scott Vargas, Ben Stark, Huey Jensen, Owen Turtenwald level? What is the difference? And I can tell you that there's a few things that I want to say with regards to this. The first one is that I had this exact same question. And the reason why I chose this question for one of the questions of the week here is because I have actually set out on a journey to answer this question. And I'm going to be presenting it in kind of a new way. I basically wanted to try to get into making some scripted content for limited resources. The show that Luis and I do here is unscripted. It's just me and him talking, and we've got some show notes that we go off of, but that's about it.
It's actually completely scripted, including this interruption.
You timed it perfectly once again. But I wanted to explore the idea of doing a podcast, an audio only podcast that was more scripted. And if you listen to podcasts, you'll find that a lot of them are scripted, where they have, full soundtracks and audio clips from interviews interspersed with voiceover. And it's very polished and tight and well written. And it gives you this sort of different experience. It's less conversational, so it's not quite as hanging out with Marshall and Luis style, but it does give you the opportunity to dive very deep on a topic and really kind of revisit it. And this is actually the topic I chose for my first one. And I can tell you that I already have gone out into the world, and I've recorded some tape, some footage with two very well-known high-level Magic players that I respect a lot. And I have started to piece together that episode. So something to look forward to. I'm not going to put a date on it because it does take me a long time, and this is my first time doing this type of content. It's quite difficult, but look for it down the line, and we're going to try to answer that question. Now, as far as talking about it here,
question is
wait for it.
Is that you're not an elite level player because you spend all your time recording shows about how you're not elite level player.
Funny, it's really funny. I didn't record the show. I didn't ask the questions of the guys with me as the example, but I think I am a reasonable example for that, with the one exception being that, interestingly, you kind of did just answer the question, which is one of the reasons I think that I'm not at that level is because I go out and do recording stuff rather than sit around and try to get better at Magic. And I have consciously used my time in such a way that it benefits me the most as far as what I'm interested in doing. And one of the things I really enjoy doing is trying to get better at Magic. But the truth of the matter is, given my career stance right now, becoming a full-time professional Magic player just isn't what I want. I don't think I would do it even if I had the opportunity. Now, if I were to qualify for a Pro Tour, I would play it for sure. For the experience and the credibility that you get in the booth, I think it would be fantastic for me. But if you told me you're just going to put LR on hold and put, coverage on hold and all that, and just do professional Magic for a couple of years, I wouldn't do it. Like, financially, it doesn't make a lot of sense for me. And also, I've just put a lot of effort into trying to get good and develop these things, LR and CR and all that kind of stuff, and trying to get good in the booth and practice that. And so for me, it's kind of a situation where I haven't prioritized Magic, and that just is what it is. But even then, had I prioritized Magic, I know I'd be better than I am now. I don't think I'd be good as you guys, though. And there is something there. There's a gap. Do you have any sense for the, what makes up that gap?
It's interesting. It's certainly something I have thought about, and I've come to the conclusion that it's a combination of, passion, dedication, luck. Like, I'm being dead serious. There is definitely luck to it. And it's hard for me to tell exactly what makes up the reasons that someone will take to Magic or not. But I mean, I know people who have played much more than I have and who maybe haven't gotten to the same level. It's not like hours in, skill out category. And I think that what I like to do is look at the kind of common denominators between, like people who are like elite players. Like, what are the things that are similar between Owen Turtenwald, Yuya Watanabe, William Jensen, like Ben Stark, these players, Joel Larson, like these players who consistently do well in the Pro Tour. And it is really, passion is definitely part of it, and dedication. Like, I don't know anyone who's gotten there without playing a lot, caring about it, and doing it in a way that is efficient. Like, doing it in a way where you're like interacting with good players, where you're you're making gains while testing. You're not just jamming games and just not really thinking about it. A lot of discussion. Surrounding yourself with better players is also really important. In various times I've talked about like how I leveled up over the course of, learning Magic or getting better at Magic. And I think that the two main times in my life where I got much better, one is when I lived with Paul Chian and we just played Magic like all the time, online, in person, whatever, and talked about it the whole time. And the other is kind of the first couple of years of Team Channel Fireball, where it was just like a lot of, at the time, good players, but maybe not the best players, that I think we all combined and made ourselves all better.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of it. Like, if you're luck, and this is where luck comes in. Luck comes in like two ways. One, it was lucky that the people I just happened to be friends with. Like, again, when we formed a team, it wasn't like we picked, here are the 10 best players. We just picked, here are the people we hang out with. And it was lucky that those people happened to be people who were good enough and had the same interests and dedication and goals that we all were able to level up together. And the other thing is, it's lucky to be qualified for enough events that you want to keep going to them. Like you mentioned, like if you qualified for a Pro Tour, you play in that.
Yeah.
And I think that'd be awesome. I think that would be really cool. It's hard to qualify for like every Pro Tour. It's hard to keep qualifying for the Pro Tour.
Definitely.
And I know plenty of good players who have not managed to do so. And plenty of players who have managed to do so who aren't as good as people who haven't. Like there's luck in this game, and that's just how it works. And when you have to win, when you have to get first place in a 120 person PTQ, or you have to finish top 4 in an RPTQ after winning a PPTQ, or top 16 a Grand Prix or whatever, like you have to keep stringing those together. Some people are just going to catch more breaks than other people, and I feel like I've caught a lot of breaks. So it's just like a lot of different things put together, and the part that's tough is you kind of won't know the answer to that question until you put in all the legwork, at which point it can be tough, Yeah,
it can be. And I think being realistic about what your skill ceiling is a tough thing to do, but probably quite useful as well. Keep your eye out though. I really did. I went very, very deep on this type of question for that special edition thing. And when it comes out, you'll hear the answers from some of the pros.
This reminds me of a Grand Prix San Antonio, I believe it was, where actually Paul Chan and I were doing coverage, and you were playing. It was a sealed Grand Prix, and we covered.
Oh, this was Salt Lake City. It was you and Ben. Yeah.
Oh, me and Ben. Right. We covered your deck building in your first match, and then your match you're winning in for day 2, which you won. So that was funny. It was one of the rare times when I was in the booth and Marshall was on the battlefield.
Yeah, I tell you what, I couldn't wait to come home and watch it, because I wanted to hear what you guys said, but B, I really want, like, it's so easy when you're in the booth, because I've been in the booth for so long, to forget what it's like to be under that lens, of other people maybe criticizing your play, or at least interpreting your play, and you not being able to make your case and say, well, no, this is what I was thinking. This is why I did this. You thought it was because of this, but it was because of this. I was playing around this card, and, maybe I was right, maybe I was wrong, but I know that that's there, but you can't replace that feeling. And I hit play on that YouTube video, like when I came home, and my God, that feeling is so you're just like, oh God, what if they just torch me? What if they just rip me apart? And I don't mean in a joking way. I mean, like, what if I make a really bad play, or what if the line of play I took is just wrong? And, it gets pointed out to me, and, it's really interesting being on the other side of that coin. But it was actually really fun to hear what you guys said. And by the way, like, not to get off topic here, but you guys were insanely good. I was like, oh my God, like, it was every single thing I was thinking of is what you guys said. It was just like, yeah, anyway, that was very good.
That's more a testament to how easy you are to predict.
when I'm playing well, maybe. All right, let's move on to the next question. We've got one from Ardak, who says, hi guys, having seen Marshall interact on the CSL and how LSV acts practically everywhere, what do you think is the appropriate level of humor in matches? And how does that change between each level of play, going from casual to professional? To what extent should we as players limit our humor when playing, given that we are hopefully having fun? Cool question.
Yeah, this is great. This is actually a topic we've discussed. I've had this conversation a bunch of times with people.
Yeah.
Because I would love if I could goof off more at the Pro Tour. And and you can see it in some rounds. Like, you can see it when I play against Paul. You can see it even when I play against Owen or Reed. Actually, in the top 4 of the Pro Tour, Owen Emmeric'd me, and he's like thinking about how to take my turn. He's looking at all my cards, and I'm like,
so funny.
I've never taken a turn this long.
Yeah.
He was just like deep in the tank, and then he did all the things right and beat me very easily. But it's the sort of thing where like you were covering my draft at the Pro Tour Oath of the Gatewatch, where I opened a foil Desolation Twin, and I just like flick it to the beginning of the pack and pretend like I'm going to take it.
Right,
like,
and I'm like, I know he's not going to take stupid Desolation, but it's funny. People got a kick out of it. And remember when you activated that creature land against Paul?
Yeah, it was like activating creature lands end of Paul's turn for no effect. And he's just like looking very confused. We're playing at 7-1 on the Pro Tour. Like, the thing is, I can do that and still just like actually play my game. A lot of people just are going to find it distracting or dumb or whatever. So I don't blame you for not doing it. And I'm going to be pretty clear that I don't feel comfortable doing that against people who aren't my friends, because I feel like if I'm playing someone who's, they don't know me, maybe they're nervous. It's like, they're playing a Pro Tour, they're playing against me. Maybe we have a good record if we're lucky.
Yeah, and they sit down across 8-time Pro Tour, top 8 competitor, Hall of Famer. Yeah, they're going to be nervous.
And I'm just like acting like a buffoon, and then maybe winning, and right. That feels like it would be pretty bad. Whereas Paul and Owen and Reed, these guys, they know what I'm like, and they're willing to put up with it. So
they are very, very attuned to your buffoonery.
Right. So that's a reason that I don't do it more. And there's multiple reasons. One is that like I think that it would come off poorly against people I don't know, or even people I know who aren't really into it. And I think that's fine. Like, if a lot of people are like completely business when they're playing in a Pro Tour or a Grand Prix or a tournament they care about, and that's fine. The other is that it could be distracting, like even for you. Like I can imagine people who are like trying to mess around, but then realize that like they're actually playing worse because of it, and they wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah, for sure.
So I I would say that Magic's supposed to be fun, and I like having fun while playing Magic, and that makes Magic more fun. And especially at other levels of competition, I'm way more apt to do that. I mean, maybe part of it is because I stream, so most of my Magic was played on Magic Online, and I'm always like that. So like I just used to goofing around while playing Magic. The biggest question mark for me, especially if our deck's considering like what is appropriate, what is not, is kind of how the opponent takes it. Like you don't want to come off as like messing around or being distracting or bullying to your opponent. And I would not have said to someone else that I've never taken a turn this long, but I felt comfortable saying it to Owen because.
So what do you like about it though? Like what do you think that like there should be a more fun had at that level of play, or is it just like you like it for the cameras, or what's the upside?
It's both. I mean, I think it's a better viewing experience. I know I watch Pro Tour matches and GP matches, when I'm at home, and I would like it if players messed around more. I think that'd be more fun. So I like making like the broadcast more fun. I also I literally have more fun when I'm just comfortable and talking to my opponents, and I like messing around. So that's just in my personality. So if other players had that, maybe to a higher degree, maybe we would see it. Again, it's easy to come off wrong, so I'm judicious in how I do this.
Yeah, I don't know how to fit that in. I don't, because I agree. When people are talking and having, it's a little more lighthearted. I mean, remember, we're playing Magic. Like, it's supposed to be fun, maybe not just pure fun. I mean, this show is all about learning how to win and stuff, but still, like, winning's fun, or, you got to enjoy that time, right? I mean, if you're not enjoying it, what's the point? And at the same time, with so much on the line, it's hard to ask people to, to take that casualness into the feature match area, or even just at a regular match at the PT, just because it's like, they put a lot of effort into this, and they really don't want to lose. So I don't know. It's a tough balance to hit, but I'll tell you what, from the booth perspective, it's way better. Like when people are talking, when I'm in the commentary booth, I'll often just let them chat, and we'll just sit and listen, because I think that's really interesting, and it gives people a feel for what's really going down in the match.